Everybody, guess what? This morning we've got Mike Thomas with us, Franklin resident, just at his album release party at the Mockingbird Theater in Franklin. Um, it's great for you to join us this morning. How's it going?
Thanks, Donna. It's going great. Happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
So let's talk about. I find this fascinating. I think some people don't realize, but you've had an interesting musical career, so to speak, right?
I guess you could call it that. It's
You
been
know,
more of a journey than a career, I think.
well, I think some people think it works like it did for Chris Stapleton. He was standing on the Broadway one night, the 2 days later he signed a record deal. But that's not really the way it works for most musicians.
Yeah, I don't think so. It certainly didn't work that way for me.
So tell us about that. You just recently moved back to Franklin, but you started your career like many years ago in East Tennessee.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, so I grew up just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, and started playing music at a pretty young age. Started with piano, then got into drums, and eventually picked up the guitar, I guess, when I was a teenager, and just really had an itch to learn songs and sing songs. So I just learned, every Bob Dylan and John Prine and Neil Young song I could, learn. And eventually was hired to start playing some coffee shops and some pubs and bars around Knoxville before I was even old enough to be in those places. Um, so that's kind of how I got started, and did that for a number of years, all the way through college. And then, I guess it was about 2004, got married, and we moved to Nashville. And I tried for a very short time to give it a go on Music Row, and then kind of took a long detour for a while.
Yeah, we got to mention that you're a UT grad. Go Vols for those of you who
Yes, ma'am. Go
UT.
Vols.
Tell us about your detour. What were you doing during that time?
So we had just moved to town, and I often say that we moved to town because my wife had gotten a really good job at Vanderbilt. We were newlyweds, but the truth is, we moved to town because I wanted to write songs, and she was very patient and supportive, and always has been. And so I did a few songwriters nights, and met with a few industry people, and basically when I got to town, the message was, well, Mike, we like your voice, but your songs are just way too long. They're not going to work here. You're going to have to learn to write Nashville songs. And I didn't really listen to the country music of the day. I grew up more on rock music, and I don't think Bob Dylan ever worried about how long his song was, as evidenced by some of the length of some of his songs.
Yeah.
So it was a wake-up call for me. I was just, probably like a lot of aspiring musicians and songwriters are when they come to Nashville. I was a bit naive, and I thought, man, I don't know that I want to do that. Maybe I just need to get a real job, and my wife and I, we really wanted to start a family, and so I just didn't feel that at that time, going full force at music was for me. It's why I came here, but quickly went a different direction. And in hindsight, I'm glad I did, because we were able to start a family. We've got 3 beautiful kids now. We've both had successful careers in our respective industries, and just within the last few years, I've had the opportunity to get back into playing music and making music again, and it feels good.
Yeah. Talk about that, because it was like a phone call that kind of changed and kind of brought you out of retirement, so to speak. Talk about
That's
that.
right. So I got a phone call. I guess this would have been 2017 or so, from a booking agency, and actually it was an email. I got an email first, and they said, "Hey, Mike, we found your music, and we think that you'd be a good fit in some of the venues that we're booking in and around Nashville and Memphis. And we'd be interested to know if you'd like to play some slots. And at first I thought this has got to be a joke, because aside from a charity function or an occasional songwriters night, very very sporadically, I wasn't really playing music at all. Wasn't really writing music very much. But I checked this group out, and they were legit, and they booked us at BB King's a few times and a couple other places. And when we got back on the stage, I just realized that I had really missed it. I didn't realize how much I had missed playing music in front of a crowd and making music with my friends, and playing with a band. And so that kind of reignited the fire in me, if you will, to pursue music in some way. And so from there, we put a band together, and we kept getting more and more bookings, and got to the point where we were able to be a little more selective about the shows and gigs that we were playing, and developed a little following, and it's just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, you've played in some local places. Talking about Franklin, you're played a lot at Kimbrough's.
Absolutely, yeah. Kimbrough's is one of my favorite places to play. I've known Will Jordan at Kimbrough's for several years. Will's always been really good to us, and Kimbrough's reminds me of a lot of the places I grew up playing in, and so I just really enjoy playing there. I enjoy the people there, the community there. And really, I live out in College Grove, so going downtown to me is going to Franklin. Nashville's a pretty good ride. So
yeah.
Not that we don't play in Nashville, we do. But we love holding up at Kimbrough's and playing. We play at the Mockingbird, played Puckett's a couple times. And then, in Nashville, like I said, we've played BB King's and Douglas Corner and Mercy Lounge and a lot of those type of places as well.
Yeah. Well, I hated to hear the news about Douglas Corner. That was so sad.
Oh, I know. We were actually supposed to play there on the 20th of June. We had a show there, and of course, I don't know if it would have happened anyway with COVID and all, but I was heartbroken to get the news. I loved that place.
It was a special place for people who didn't get to go there. It was really small, kind of like a Kimbrough's, but you never knew who was going to show up and who you might see there,
And they had some of the best sound. It always sounded great in there.
Yeah.
The sound guys that they had working in there were just top notch.
Yeah, it was a great place. Let's talk about, you mentioned Mockingbird Theater. You just had an album release party, so you have new music out. What was it like to come back and be at the Mockingbird Theater and let everyone hear your music, a whole album for the first time?
It was really exciting for me, and I think it was exciting for the guys in the band. I'll admit it was a little weird because we couldn't, we had to socially distance. We had to limit capacity.
Yeah.
That I'd reached out to Will Jordan, the owner, and he said, "No, man, let's just do it. We'll give, we'll have masks at the front door. We'll only seat up to 50%." And I just thought, well, I'd rather go play for 50% of the room than nobody. So we went forward with it, and all things considered, I think we had a really nice crowd. And people, they sat a couple seats apart, and kept their distance. But it felt really good. We played the entire record from beginning to end in our first set, which was a lot of fun. And then the second set, we just kind of played some of our standard, standard covers and other songs that we play. It was a blast.
Yeah. There are 10 songs on this album. Tell us about the making of this album.
So
right?
The album,
10 songs. Did I have that right? I wrote it down.
Yeah, that's right. It's okay. 10 songs. Good job. You've done your research.
Okay.
So it's 10 songs. They're all original songs. It's really a collection of songs that span a long period of time. So some of these songs, and I'm just looking at the song list right now, some of them I wrote before I moved to Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And a couple of them I wrote just right after I moved to Nashville, and then a couple of them are more recent. Um, but I was encouraged to make the record by a friend of mine, Trace Sasser, who's a very fine, talented musician and producer here in Franklin. And Trace and I met, ironically, because our daughters were on the same gymnastics team. And, and we just got to talking one day and got to talking music, and we just kind of developed a friendship from there. And Trace was really the one who encouraged me to make a record. And we did it at his studio, and he brought Joe Costa in to do the engineering and the mixing. And Joe is incredible, and he's worked with a ton of talented folks. And we just had a number of great musicians come in and bring these songs to life. But it really took, because of my schedule, and all the guys in the band, we're all, full-time. We all have full-time jobs and full-time careers, and we just do this music as a secondary thing. And so we didn't really have the luxury of blocking out a week and just knocking it out. We really recorded this over the span of about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Because we'd get in the studio for a day or two, and then it might be 2 months before we could coordinate our schedules to get back in there. But it was a great process and a lot of fun. And I'm really pleased, overall with how it has turned out. I think when you create something, you can always go back and go, well, I wish I'd done this or I wish I'd done that. But I think overall it turned out really well.
Yeah. Tell me your sound. I feel like I get a little bit of a Jason Isbell, maybe a little pop bluesy, maybe, and then I feel like there's some of them that sound like could easily be on country music radio. Is that a good idea, or is that a good take on what I'm hearing?
Well, I would say, first of all, I'm honored that you would make that comparison, but I don't deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence with Jason Isbell. He's the gold standard right now, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I think that's right. I consider my music country music, but more in the style of a traditional or older country music. I grew up listening to, like I said, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, but I also listened to Willie and Merle Haggard and George Jones and a lot of the old country guys. I'm really into Delbert McClinton's music, and I think you could probably hear that a little bit in my sound. So I really love a lot of different types of music, and I think our sound in the band kind of is a culmination of all of that. But when people ask me to describe it, I generally say it's roots music or roots country music.
I can definitely hear that. Okay, talking about music, I'm sure people want to hear a song. So you've got one for us today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to play one for you.
What do you have? What are you going to play for us?
Well, I thought I would play Sure Feels Right. It's the second single that we released off the record, and it's really done very well on the streaming platforms. We've had a lot of downloads and a lot of streams, and it was very well received. It's probably the most country song on the record. And so I thought that might be a good one to do this morning.
All right, take it away.
All right, great. Thank you. Working in the cities, living in the country, honeydews on Saturday, church on Sunday, out on the road all week long, just trying to make it down so I can come on home and kiss your cheek. Hold them babies tight. Me and JB on a Friday night, we sang a few old songs, we drank a few more Miller Lights. You're sitting there with that old look in your eye, pulling me close as you turn out the light. And how it planned, but it sure feels right. Sure feel right, you by my side, green grass all around, little baby sleeping. Sure feels good, better than I thought it would. Just working on our dreams in a small town neighborhood. Might not be just like we planned, but it sure feels right. Far cry from here, I used to play and sing. I saved the money from a tip jar, bought you that ring. Your mama didn't like me, and your daddy wouldn't say, but you climbed up in that Bronco. We took a long road anyway. Wonder how you planned. I guess it just felt right. Sure feel right, you by my side, green grass all around, little baby sleeping. Sure feels good, better than I thought it would. Just working on our dreams in a small town neighborhood. Might not be just like we planned, but it sure feels right. Now one of these days, when we're old and gray, when the children are grown and the bills have all been paid, will you sit beside me and stare up at the sky and me singing you one more song before it turns out the light? Ain't how we planned, but it sure felt right. Sure feel right, you by my side, green grass all around, sweet baby sleeping. Sure feels good, better than I thought it would. Just working on our dreams in a small town neighborhood. Might not be just like we planned, but it sure feels right. Might not be just like we planned, but it sure feels right.
That was great.
Thank you.
That's probably one of my favorite songs. I listened to the whole album. That's probably one of my favorites.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Let everybody know where they can find more information, get this album. You're looking for those downloads, right? So
this is the album. I'll show you a picture of it. So it'll be a little bit easier to find. My name is pretty common, obviously. So I can be a little difficult to search, but the easiest way is if you'll go to my webpage. It is MikeThomasMusic.com, MikeThomasMusic.com. And you can find on the webpage there, you can find links to where you can actually buy the physical CD, or links to my Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. And you can sign up for our email list there, find out where we're playing, hopefully when we can start playing regularly again. And just generally stay informed about me and the band, the Mike Thomas Band. You can find us on Facebook at the Mike Thomas Band, or on Instagram at the MT Band. So those are really the easiest ways to find the music.
All right. So, yeah, you mentioned shows. Do you have anything upcoming? I know that everything's a little crazy right now.
So we're playing a show in Knoxville, my hometown. It'll be my first show in Knoxville in many years.
Okay.
On July the 31st. I'm really excited to get back to my hometown and play some music. Obviously, there's limitations on how many folks can be in the venue, but it's a pretty big venue, so I think we'll have a good crowd. Hopefully, COVID things have settled down a little bit by then. And then we're just itching to get back to playing live, with the band in and around Franklin and Nashville as soon as we can. I know we'll probably be back at the Mockingbird and Kimbrough's this fall. I'll be doing a solo acoustic set at the Sip and Scoop, which is a great little place out in College Grove.
Oh, yeah.
Just down the road from where I live. And April and Brian own the Sip and Scoop, and it's just a great little place for our little community out there. They have great food, drinks, and so I'll be playing out there. I do about a bi-monthly Saturday night down there, just solo acoustic, and I think we're going to do that July 11th as well. So a few things coming up, but not a full slate of shows.
Yeah, well, it's something for people to look forward to. And Mike, thanks again for joining us this week.
Thank you, Donna.
I hope you have a great 4th of July.
Yeah, you as well. Safe travels. And thanks again for having me. It's a real pleasure to be on.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to see you again soon, maybe in person.
I hope so.
I hope
so.
Thanks.
Stay safe.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everybody.